Hello everyone, let's get into this as I want to give a detailed so you all can see pictures of some of these sports figures in this Mississippi fraud case. We have not forgot about this Mississippi fraud case, and it's going to give you details of some of the people in the Mississippi welfare scandal case. Okay, so we're going to start uh, with just an overview. It was Mississippi's largest public corruption case in which tens of millions of dollars earmarked for needy families was misspent. Involves a number of sports figures with ties to the state, including Green Bay Packers royalty Brett Favre and a famous pro former wrestler. And at the center, though, is the former head of State's Department of Human Services, John Davis, who you know I did an update on that video, who pleaded guilty on September 22nd to federal counts of conspiracy and fraud against the government. Now, Davis has agreed to testify against others in the case. Other people who have pleaded guilty to state charges include a mother and son who ran a nonprofit and an education company. Now, I've told you who those people are. That's Nancy New and her sons. And then you have some sports figures named in a civil lawsuit which was filed on May 9th, as well as the details from that suit. Their responses, if available, and whether they've been charged. So let's get into this. Okay, now you see this is Brett Favre. He's a former NFL player. We talked about him extensively. He is not off the hook. His Sirius XM radio show was placed on hold, so in other words, suspended, because he had there were some text messages that was presented of him knowing about where the money was coming from, trying to cover it up, hoping that they could hide it so no one would know. He's continued to say he's innocent and he didn't know anything about this, but actually he did. He is a Hall of Famer, legendary Packers quarterback, 1997 Super Bowl winner, and the University of Southern Mississippi alumnus, is one of the celebrity centerpieces of the scandal, though he is not facing criminal charges at this time. In my opinion, I believe that he should. Now, the State Department of Human Services paid $1.1 million in welfare money to a nonprofit known as the Mississippi Community Education Center, which then paid Favre Enterprises twice for speaking engagements, radio and promotional events, and business partner development. The idea was that the money would go towards a new $5 million volleyball facility at Southern Mississippi, which Favre was building and where Favre's daughter was playing volleyball. Favre didn't make appearances and later repaid the money, though $228,000 in interest is still outstanding. Now, there were text messages made public in court documents also show that in July 2019, Favre texted then within Mississippi Governor Phil Bryant to ask if welfare money could be put towards building an indoor practice facility for the football team at the same school. That never went anywhere, with Bryant texting Favre in September that we have to follow the law. Okay, now Favre is also named in the lawsuit as the largest individual outside investor of biotech from Prebicus, now called Odyssey Health, and suggested that the CEO ask about using human services grant money for investing in company stock. It turned into a $2.1 million of state money for Prebicus and corporate affiliate Presol MD. Favre has not responded to the AP's multiple requests for comment. Now, when the governor stated that you have to follow the law, that was like, to me, a cover up, because Brett still was asking. And the fact is that he knew where the money was coming from because he asked, could it be used? So he's sitting here saying he did not know, had no idea, which is actually a flat out lie, because he did know where the money was coming from because he asked if it could be used. Now, the governor is Phil Bryant, and he's talking about we have to follow the law. Yeah, but he also used Nancy New. Phil Bryant used Nancy New's nonprofits and school education, whatever it was. He used that to direct money through her nonprofits to give to Brett to use to have this stadium built at the Mississippi, University of Mississippi. Now you have Teddy DBAs Sr. and his sons, Teddy and Brett, former pro wrestler. Here they are right here, so you get a good picture of them. Now, the $1 Million Man was a fixture in pro wrestling in the 80s and 90s with his gleaming custom-made belt, and everybody has a price catchphrase. Everybody has a price catchphrase is what he used. DBS later became a Christian minister. He lives in Mississippi and owns Heart of David Ministries. Now, his son, Teddy, who was a WWE wrestler in the 2010, lives in Mississippi and is connected to Priceless Ventures and Family Orientum, two limited liability companies based in the state. Brett dbas also lives in the state and owns Restore 2 Limited Liability Company, the LLC. Both brothers were pro wrestlers for a time. Now, the DBA's Ventures and the DBA's men are all named as defendants in the lawsuit. Now, Heart of David Ministries received $1.7 million in welfare money under the guise of providing leadership training. The organization was ordered to repay about $722,000 in welfare money. The oldest DBAs also received $250,000 through DBAs Development Incorporated to be a motivational speaker. In a response to the civil lawsuit, DBAs denied the state's allegations and requested the suit be dismissed. Teddy DBAs received over $3 million in federal anti-poverty funds over 2 years of things like leadership training through Priceless Ventures and supporting the multiple needs of inner city youth through Family Orientum. None of the services were provided. And I did give you all that information. And I just want to remind you all that this money was taken from the TANF fund. It's one of the programs under the Department of Human Services for Welfare. It's the Temporary Assistance of Needy Families Fund that this money came from. Okay? So he was also given by Davis, who considered Teddy DBAs a friend, the title of the Human Services Department Director of Sustainable Change, despite not being employed by the state. And he also wasn't qualified either to teach, okay? Now, the state told Teddy DBAs about a year ago he needed to repay $3.9 million. In his response to the civil suit, DBAs repeatedly says the allegations are not directed towards him, and because he lacks knowledge or information sufficient to form a belief as to the truth or the allegations, he denies them. Now, Brett DBAs, who also was a pro wrestler for a while, was an employee of the State of Human Services Department for about 6 months, ending in September 2017. After that, DBAs was given a $250,000 salary paid in welfare funds from one nonprofit tied to Davis, as well as $130,000 in a separate payment of welfare funds from a different organization to perform substance abuse training. DBAs also created his LLC and received $48,000 from MDHS, which is the Mississippi Department of Human Services, for more training. Davis also had welfare money funneled through a nonprofit to pay $160,000 for DBAs to be a full-time resident at a luxury substance abuse rehab facility in California. Brett DBAs pleaded guilty in 2020 to a felony for the $48,000 payment and agreed to pay it back. The state auditor requested a year ago that he pay back $225,950. In a July response to the civil suit, he said he is not guilty of any act, fault, or want of care, is in no way liable to the state, and said he had no personal knowledge of any false misrepresentations or sham agreements regarding illegal use of TANF funds. And again, TANF is temporary assistance for needy families. Now, let's talk about this Phil Bryant. He's the former governor of Mississippi State. Now, he was the one directing the money through the Nancy New nonprofits, and he was telling her where the checks need to go. Now, he was told he was actually being made to be the whistleblower, according to the auditor Shad. But he is not no whistleblower. The former governor of Mississippi was also involved in this scam, but he is yet to be charged. Now, here is Marcus Dupree. He was widely recruited as a high school running back in Mississippi in the early 1980s, ended up going to Oklahoma and was heralded as a possible Heisman contender, but left midway through his sophomore season and graduated from Southern Mississippi. Dupree, who was the subject of an ESPN 30 for 30 documentary in 2010, had 2 seasons in the NFL and returned to Mississippi. the president of the nonprofit Marcus Dupree Foundation. He was a celebrity endorser and motivational speaker for the main two nonprofits involved in the scandal. The lawsuit claims he was given substantial amounts of TANF funds, but it did not specify how much. Mississippi Today reported he earned at least $100,000. Separately, his foundation received hundreds of thousands of dollars, some of it TANF funds, that was used to buy a 15-acre property for himself and for purported lease payments on that same property. Dupree has not been charged and has refused to follow a state's order to repay $789,534. In an ESPN report published September 30, he denied the allegations in the lawsuit. These people stole, and they haven't been charged. And here he is, and I'm going to call him a knucklehead, if I may, because you are black, stealing money too, around these white people, stealing this money, and you don't think anything is wrong with that. And you have a property, you know, a 15-acre property. You played also in the NFL, and you took that money, and you have no regard for the people that you stole the money from, including federal and state tax dollars. I'm not going to let this go, because these people deserve to be punished to the full extent of the law, and they need to pay this money back. And I'm going to keep talking about this as long as I get updates. It will not go away, because I'm going to be bringing it up, and I wanted you all to see the the key players in this in this scandal, this biggest scandal in Mississippi. Okay, now let's go to Paul Lacoste. He's a former linebacker that played at Mississippi State. He also he played, in the 90s, and he played in the Canadian Football League for a year. He became a trainer and owner of a fitness business, and also is the president of a nonprofit called Victory Sports Foundation. Both he and the nonprofit are named in the civil lawsuit. Now I'm going to stop right here. If you notice, all of these people got some type of business from that money. Brett, Teddy dbas and his his sons. Runs the, Teddy runs this ministry. And then you got Marcus Dupree. He has a business. And now you have Lacoste with a business. They all got money, and this is the way they got this money. While a lot of families are struggling to this day, a lot of people are struggling to make ends meet, while these people took this money that didn't belong to him, and it's federal and taxpayers' dollars, and it didn't belong to them. And they took money to come up off of other people's taxpayers' money, federal and state. And if you all are not outraged at this, I don't know what would get you all outraged over stuff like this, because this is really, really despicable. It's shameful. And these people are running around acting like they didn't do anything, running around saying they're not guilty, they don't know this, they don't know that, and that is a bunch of crock. Okay, so the suit says Lacoste directly proposed to Davis that his nonprofit should get a piece of the welfare money for doing fitness boot camps for public officials, including current governor, that was Bryant at the time, and then Lieutenant Governor Tate Reeves, who was a client of Lacoste, according to Mississippi Today. Political staffers and other participants in October 2018. Victory Sports Foundation received $1.3 million for 3 boot camps. Lacoste, who has not been charged, filed a motion in July to dismiss to the lawsuit, claiming the state has failed to state a claim for breach of contract. Lacoste also said in filings that Mississippi pleads a litany of improper, conclusory misstatements of state and federal law that lack pleadings of fact for support. Now, the Northeast Mississippi Football Coaches Association received $30,000 in welfare money in early 2019 as a donation in consideration of having Ted DBS Jr. as banquet speaker. And they received money too. All these people down here stealing money that did not belong to them. And it's really taxpayers' money, federal and state, that didn't belong to them, that they misused and abused, because as you know, that California is one of the states that carries Mississippi, and California is the poorest state in the country. And so for these people to take this money, to act like they didn't have anything to do with where it came from, or, there is no proof or evidence, that's not true. And they need to pay all of the money back but they also need to be charged, because this is a big, big crime. It is a scandal, but it is also a felony. And these are people that played the game and they got money, and now they're operating businesses. So I would suggest that if you know these people in the state of Mississippi, do not support their businesses. Don't support their, in my opinion, their business should not be supported, because they stole money, and they didn't get the money. They didn't work hard for these businesses. They stole money, and that's how they got their business, because they certainly didn't. They're not self-made. They didn't build no business from the ground up when they're getting welfare money, which came from other people, taxpayers like you and I. So at the end of the day, this is public information, and they all need to be held accountable. Where is the accountability for these people that took this money? So God bless you all on today. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're not a subscriber, I'm trying to at least hit 500 subscribers so that I can start posting, so I could at least get a community chat and to post. And so I would appreciate if any one of you could share my videos so that my channel can grow to at least 500 subscribers. I do want more, just for information, to get information out there. I enjoy being able to provide information to each and every one of you. I'm trying to get my videos out there. And so please leave your respectful comments below. What do you think about this? And the copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowances made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit educational personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. And the holidays are coming, so you all are interested in some jewelry, please reach out to me. Check out my Instagram page. You can email me, but let me know. You know, if you want to get some personalized gifts, handmade, you know, support BBB, Black Beautiful Businesses. I'm going to take that word from Lizzo, Black Beautiful Businesses. She was minding her Black Beautiful business, and I appreciate that. So I took that from her. So God bless you all again, and be safe out there. Be safe, you know, be alert, be watchful, and be diligent in what you are doing, and pay attention, because there's a lot going on that should not be going on, but it is going on. So again, thank you all for tuning in. God bless you, and thank you for your time.